Hello and welcome everyone back to the Cadence Crypto video. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are back with another banger PulseChain video, giving you guys the latest and greatest of crypto news. And today we're going to be covering what makes PulseChain unique. It really is no longer about the fact that we are 17% quicker than Ethereum or we're cheaper gas fees than Ethereum. Okay, what makes us unique is the narratives that has never been done before, and that is not even possible anywhere else. And the fact that we are a leverage of Ethereum. We're not a hedge against it. That's part of, whether we like it or not, that's actually part of the altcoin rules. We are a leverage of whatever. We're an amplified effect of whatever Ethereum does. For example, yesterday, Ethereum goes up by 0.7%. Guess what PulseChain did? It went up by 22 times what Ethereum did. This is a tease to what it is, what it feels like to be in an altcoin that is a cycle one narrative, guys. This is our first bull run. I get it. People are saying we're almost 2 years old. We haven't done the 100x, we haven't done the 1000x. But do remember, PulseChain launched in the middle of the bear market, giving people like you and I, who are not whales, a big chance to accumulate in the bags that you believe in, that you have conviction for. And guys, for the people who've been watching me, OGs, I love PHEX. It's a new chart on a new chain, and I believe history repeats itself. And EHEX, even though last year around this time, or March of last year, Richard Hart did a lot of tweets that effectively killed EHEX, as he said, the market have chosen. You know what I mean? I still think EHEX can become one of the greatest CTO tokens projects out of there. Okay, and it's the foot in the Ethereum that bridges those whales to see what EHEX is about, and then they're gonna actually be like, okay, hold on, I want to know more. Let me go to PulseChain. Do you know what I mean? And actually, fun fact, you can buy EHEX on PulseChain. You don't need to go on Ethereum. Just go on GoPulse, and you'll get the contract address. If you go right here, if you type EHEX, you can just buy that, paste that contract address in PulseX or PDAI. As simple as that. You don't even need to go on Ethereum. So you know what I mean? Like, I'm really excited about PulseChain. And do remember, we actually haven't even been in prime time alt season. You might think that we did in 2024, but let me tell you, those are two just small blimps, guys. These are two mini altcoin seasons, because we haven't seen Bitcoin dominance fall under 50%. We haven't seen ETH/BTC ratio recover. We haven't seen the others total crypto market cap hit 1 trillion. I'm keeping track of all of that, guys. So I'm telling you, I am extremely bullish. I understand at times like these, at maximum depression, almost everything can seem like a scam. Everything seems like a bearish. People's true colors actually show. People, finding a scapegoat. Oh yeah, you told me to buy this. You told me to buy that. When, hold on. Who's actually the person who's clicking the button at the end of the day? But you know what? I still believe PulseChain is going to be one of the best altcoin performers this bull run. For a lot of reasons. You guys already know that I talk about the core 7. Okay, I understand some of them are high risk. For example, PDAI, which we're going to talk about today, and Atropa. Atropa is not really part of the core ecosystem in my opinion, but it's good to diversify to protect yourself against what? Ecosystem level risks. This is why I believe in the core 7. PulseX, which I think is 2x leverage of Pulse, and therefore I don't really hold that much Pulse. I instead choose to double down on PulseX. The buy and burn on that has been crazy. I think it recently hit 7% of the total supply, guys. PulseX, this is the better Uniswap. This is what Uniswap wishes it was. It's deflationary from constant buy and burn pressure from all the liquidity pools that are on PulseX, which like 90% of the liquidity is on that. We have a native DEX, guys. Ethereum doesn't have a native DEX. I'm going to talk more about this in another video, because today I want to talk about get people up to speed on the PDAI and Atropa. I'm going to keep it objective. I'm going to add my opinions here and there. But of course, I have to tell you guys that this is high risk. I used to label PDAI narrative and Atropa narrative as a low risk. Okay. But right now, people are very bearish about it, which is fine, right? It's not going to shake me out. But I'm holding it because I understand my own risk tolerance. People have different risk tolerances. Keep that in mind. As long as you're diversified, as long as that risk to reward ratio makes sense to you. For example, Right now, PWBTC is a 500x to parity with Bitcoin. Right, that's 500x. But if it doesn't, and if it fails, that's you losing 1x. You understand what I'm saying? So the risk is 1x, losing 1x, and the reward is winning 500x. In my opinion, that makes sense as an investment for me. Now, I'm not your financial advisor, so please make your own decisions. You watching my videos is your chance to understand my thought process so that you can become your own independent thinker. You guys already know I advocate for people to becoming their own independent. I encourage people to be free thinkers, open-minded. This is what PulseChain is all about at the end of the day. We sacrifice for freedom of speech. I personally sacrificed in PulseX for freedom of movement, freedom of assembly. You want to go wherever you want to go? Go ahead, man. Blockchain is speech. So, without further ado, let's carry on. We're going to move on to this is the tweet that I talked about, where I just say how altcoins, they go up 1 out of 4 years. So we need to make the best out of it. And yes, we are technically supposed to see the altcoin season basically now, but we've been impeded. Okay, we've been impeded, not cancelled. We've been impeded due to just external factors. Really, unfortunately, crypto right now is affected more than ever with geopolitics. But keep this in mind that there's actually a lot of good news. Bitcoin, I do believe that we are going to see a nice reversal for a lot of reasons. For example, here, big shout out to crypto currently. And I made a tweet about this, that the global liquidity index this is like a week ago, guys, a week ago. You might argue that we actually just started the bull run a week ago. Because remember, when the final bull is killed, the bull run finally starts. Do you get what I'm saying? Because bull runs, they're born on pessimism. They grow on skepticism. They mature on optimism. They die on euphoria. I remember that quote now. I was reading that from a book. But yeah, you can see here, global liquidity, guys, breaking all-time high. And you can kind of, through pattern recognition, you can see the different levels. We're at that yellow circle where it just indicates that literally just happens just before the rally up. So we shall see. I believe we can see Bitcoin reach 130K plus this year. It could reach 200K this year as well. I think we're also in a super cycle. Again, that's going to be for another video. Just a quick comment that I said here. I said, I love the work that you do, inspirational. Next wave is imminent. Quantitative easing is soon. The market doesn't care about tariffs. Same way how it didn't care about Trump's strategic Bitcoin reserve when the correction was due. It's really like a sine wave. And I talked about this. Let me just double check my mic was working. Thank God. So yeah, it really is like a sine wave. So if you know, people who've been watching my members exclusive videos, by the way, where I kind of go a little bit more in detail about this whole psychology of the market cycle and how it's cyclical, they know a lot about this. So if you want to watch the 5-part series, which soon I'm going to upload a 6th one, you have to become a YouTube member. So I just want to give a big shout out to the people who are choosing to support my small channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. I read all your comments. Please be sure to join my Telegram. It's free. Ask me. I'm there like 10 times plus a day. And as well, upgrade your operational security within crypto before you take crypto seriously, or if you are planning to take it seriously. Now, if you cannot afford this, you can use a 100% discount code PDAI. Simple as that. I don't need to make money from this course now. Like, I'm absolutely fine. So use the code PDAI to get it for free. And please learn it. It's 1.5 hours. It will not take that much time, but trust me, the value that you'll receive from this, it basically leverages the thousands of hours that I've spent in the past years. And I've been here in the previous bull run since actually my first token that I bought was on PancakeSwap, which was SafeMoon. And I've seen it all, from how to learn to read smart contracts to how to actually encrypt your files with AES 256-bit encryption. I teach it all in this course. So please watch it because I want people to stay safe. And do remember, on Telegram, I'll never message you first. If you want to message me, you have to message me first. My username is down in the description below, or you can just message me on the group chat. Please be careful, guys. There are imposters that are trying to scam people. I'll never ask you for personally identifiable information. I'll never ask you for money. I'll never send you links. please be careful from that as well. Anyways, without further ado, let's go. Big shout out to Dirty Crypto here. Says only 2 days, and it's probably now 1 day, but I guess because we're in a weekend, it doesn't really count. So we might give it to Tuesday, because here in the UK, at least, Monday is a bank holiday, until we hear from whether the SEC decides to amend its complaint. And I believe this is basically the window to for the SEC to file an appeal. And I think they have a 2-month delay. That's what we were told from Nuclear Herb. Big shout out to Nuclear Herb. He's one of the treasures of PulseChain, in my opinion, guys. And then finally here, just before we jump into actual news, what has happened since my previous video? Don't worry, I'm going to catch you all up to date with both the bearish and the good sides of this, because again, guys, to a coin, there's 2 sides. It really just depends if you have a optimistic lens or a pessimistic lens. It's at the end of the day, only time can tell. No one has 100% of the answers. This is crypto. At the end of the day, we never ever had all the answers that we wanted, because if we wait until we do, it's just going to be too late. It's either going to be PDAI is already at $1, or PDAI is already a failed project, basically. So that is where we are, you know what I mean? So there is that. Anyways, this is the guy what he said. Sir Nathan says they don't have a problem if you buy a literal jitter scam coin, but don't ever buy PDAI or you'll be in the wrong side of history. Even though the reason they told you not to buy it is now null and the price is cheap. PDAI lives rent free in everyone's heads and they are still fading it. So it is a good point here, and I'm not going to go more into it, but there's a lot of people who, call others retards for buying PDAI, and then when the price is low, it's like, now we bought, and you know what I mean? It's kind of weird. It's like, okay, are you saying that you have a moon bag? Are you saying that you bought the dip, but you're not being public about it? But when the price goes up, now you're saying, haha, I'm dumping on you. It's so weird. It's like, okay, you're telling others to not buy it, but you buy it when you think it's cheap. I don't know. It's just weird. A lot of hypocrisy, guys. Okay, a lot of hypocrisy. This is why, honestly, for me, I just like to make tweets. I don't even care who replies to them. You know what I mean? I'm on my group chat. I'm speaking to my community. I don't need to convince no one. I don't need to convince no one. I'm living a simple life, guys. Okay? I'm here making these videos I don't care about being right, guys. I just care about making money. Okay? I just love learning stuff about crypto. I love PulseChain. Simple, guys. You know what I mean? So we're going to move on anyways. I want to start with this clip here. Before actually what happened with PDAI. There's a clip here that says, this guy claims that people around Trump know about PDAI, and it's actually became a political issue, or it became political. So let's see what he has to say. We're going to move on from there.
The banks know about PDAI, and the reason why it hasn't pegged yet is because it's a political decision. I think Pdong, if you can hear me, do you want to elaborate a bit more?
Shout out to Pdong
at the start. That might be relevant.
Yeah, I've actually forwarded the message on Telegram to Daz. So yeah, it's an aeronautical investor that I know, and he's spoken to a law firm in London City who work with the Trumps, and he was just saying that, could you just ask about this? I mentioned the PDAI thing, and they came back and said, yeah, we know about this. It should peg, but at the moment there's a political issue. Now, I don't know much more about that, but I do know that Trump's ICO, which is really key, the World Liberty one, they concluded their, I think it was $1 billion raise a few weeks.
And basically, he's just going to carry on to say that they got airdropped a stable coin or a token called USD1 or something. But it's kind of interesting to see what he has to say. Now, this is obviously unconfirmed, but it's just one of the rumors that have been told in the Twitter Spaces. And moving on here. Now, this is actually what happened almost 1 day after I made the video. Because since that previous video, the flop auctions have actually started. Okay, and we started seeing, some of the PDAI being auctioned, or the debt auction starting, where people are giving in their PDAI and then they're receiving PMaker. But something very unexpected happened. And to keep it very simple, the ESM got triggered. We're going to cover it one step at a time. This is from Zach saying something unexplainable happened. Wallet address 4DF3. So again, who this person is basically the team wallet behind the XUSD team. Okay, we're gonna talk about how this all uncovered, who minted 100 billion PDAI. So this is actually what happened. They used a spell that minted 100 billion PDAI tokens, and they basically pushed the debt ceiling to 600 billion, and became the new PMaker hat. Has been buying Atropa and just burnt 474 million Atropa, worth 6 million plus. Okay, this is probably one of the contributors to why the Atropa token right now caused this really large. Well, first of all, it was a red candle, and then it became a green candle. Right now, it's at 3 cents. We're only a 5.65%, 5.6x away from all-time high, and a 30x away from $1, guys. We're only 30x away from $1. Like, are we going to see Atropa reach $1 before PDAI? Crazy. But anyways, going back to it here. He says, some believe that this could be the team with Katie and surfacing. And speculation is they are working behind the scenes with Maria. PDAI is down minus 90% again today. 0 or here from here. We all know the risks. And yeah, you can see here that they burnt the Atropa tokens. But yeah, the token, the PDAI price went all the way down, and right now we are currently at 0.00763. So on that previous level, which I think we topped at, 1/3 of a cent, we are probably around a 3.7x away from that to reach recovery. And of course, from here till I don't know, let's say 1 cent is around 12x. From here to all-time high is around a, and let me just double check. 12x, and then from here to all-time high is around a 43x. Okay, so what actually happened, as you guys can see, they actually triggered the ESM fire, which then calls the end.cage, which then, that calls a bunch of end.cage in the different smart contracts within the MakerDAO system, which effectively, guys, this does seem to me, after doing research, I've read the end the end solidity contract and the ESM contract. It seems to me that this is irreversible. Okay, it turns these contracts live variable to 0. There's no other way to turn that back to 1. Okay, but what's also interesting is that the DAI contract, so the PDAI contract itself, and the join contract, and there's, I believe, a DAI join contract, they don't have a live variable. I think maybe DAI join does have a live variable, and it still is at 1. So this is my interesting part, is that, okay, the MakerDAO system is dead, but not the PDAI token itself. What is going to come in the future is going to be very, very interesting. I'm gonna talk about my theory here. What's going on in the background? Do we have all the answers? Is Katie being open? Like, is she in some type of NDA? Everything's unknown at this point, because I think obviously Maria 414 Dev. If you think about it, guys, this has always been his token, PDAI. He started this whole narrative, guys. He's the one who was very benevolent and actually was one of the people who exploited in 2023 when it was actually mintable, and he minted, I don't know, 3 billion, and then he burnt it, proving his benevolence. And then he doxed himself, proving his benevolence. And then he spoke in the Amsterdam PulseChain tour last year, proving his benevolence. And now he's pulling himself away. He's being very unclear. He's being very distant. Is there something going on in the background that we don't know? That's kind of always been the case. You know what I mean? Like, it's very interesting, but let's see. Anyways, after that, what they did, Katie, minted the 100 billion, and she started buying up the Atropa pair, pushing the Atropa price, adding more PDAI in that liquidity pool. And then she was just saying that whatever reason she did that for, basically she said she wants to separate PDAI from the Pulse chain in terms of liquidity ratios, I guess. And then what happened is that there's another, like, I think basically another day passed, and there was 11 billion PDAI was sitting in the VAT contract, the accounting basically. It's kind of like a, anyways, I don't know how to describe it, but anyways, it's in the VAT contract. And then Katie here says, thank you for pointing it out. I didn't even know it was there. Going to burn it now. And then she replied, we didn't forget it. Someone seems to have moved their DAI to us. And then people are looking into this, and they're saying this is actually related to the 5996 wallet. The exploiter, the minter. they put back 10 billion PDAI back into the vat so that she can burn it. So actually the supply now is actually around probably 34 or 33 billion. It used to be 112, by the way, like a week ago or a few days ago. And then now it's technically around, you might go in the PulseChain scanner, it will show as 44, but it's actually 44 minus 10 or 11 billion, minus 11 billion, right? Because of this. It just didn't show because she used the .burn function on the DAI Solana, DAI Solidity contract. But I don't think it just updates on PulseChain scanner for some reason. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. And it also, by the way, it does seem like they might have been working with Maria in terms of KT because they're actually the chosen people. They were given the P maker, like they were kind of the chosen people, guys. You know, is this part of the plan from Maria? Who else is it? Why were they the chosen ones? We don't have all the answers. But what's the latest from KT is that this is what she had to say. The maker is dead. PDAI is not dead. It can't be killed. It will never die. You may think PDAI died with Maker dying, but it can't be killed. Interesting. And then here she says, but Atropa is just one of the shadows of resurrection of PDAI. So there is a resurrection. And then, and you know, by the way, this is very obvious because she put this picture here, MakerDAO, and then 3 resurrection people here, which is very obvious. It's USDT, PDAI, USDC. And then she then says this. She says this. A benevolent community developer has been working hard to create one of the other shadows, right? As one of them is Atropa. Your community have successfully picked up on his work in the past couple of days and shared some of the deployed contracts. That is no pioneer. And this developer deserves the credit for his work. It's not Richard, and it's not James, and it's not 5996 Wallet, and neither Surfacing. He deserves credit. You have known him for a while if you were in the Maker Telegram. Interesting. And then, now this is basically what I had to say. I just explained to you guys what happened. You know, we also reached an interesting 5 holders, and I said I don't believe in coincidences. It's the fact that there is no minting and extracting that can be done. So this is really good in our eyes. And then I basically just said this. Interestingly, the PDAI contracts DAI.sol and join.sol do not have a live variable and are still functioning fine. There's even more questions that we have as answers. And these are the questions that I have that I also ask you guys, the viewers. What do you think? Comment down below. What do you think this means for PWBTC? What does this mean for Atropa? And technically, he started the narrative, therefore it was always Atropa's PDAI. Is there a possibility for a new MakerDAO system that still uses the same PLSX lending protocol and the PDAI contracts? Because PLSX is absolutely fine, PDAI is absolutely fine. But with working oracles that correctly states one pulse is not equal to 1 E wrapped Ethereum. It's actually 1 pulse is equal to P wrapped Ethereum. We shall see. Very, very interesting stuff, guys. And then big shout out to Don Chilla here. Says, look at the liquidity compared to the maker, to the market cap. PDAI is extremely undervalued. I believe PDAI to $1. I love him. But this is a very good point. Okay, we were in the all-time high, you know, around last December. We were at 3.4 cents. You know, basically 29x from $1, guys. And we had the thickest liquidity at that point. Now, with not only PDAI specifically being lower liquidity than ever, PulseChain being lower liquidity than ever. Due to what? Due to the fact that Richard Hart manually gave INC's inflation multiple cuts, almost equivalent to 4 Bitcoin halvings. It's down to like 0.03 INC inflation per second when it used to be 1 INC inflation per second. That effectively disincentivized people from providing liquidity. And I'm really seeing the exact same thing, the exact same phase happening here with PDAI. Like Richard even himself said, oh, pull your liquidity away from PDAI. He said it in one of his 33 tweets, right? But from my opinion, you know, he said, don't buy PDAI. He said, pull And by the way, that was with a question mark. And he said, pull your liquidity away from PDAI. Fair enough, that was with no question mark. But he never said sell PDAI. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm not being shaken out, guys. I already told you guys, my portfolio is set. I don't need to sell anything. I just need, guys, one of the core 7. And a big shout out to PTGC, UFO X. Big shout out to Atropa, Teddy Bear, the OG Teddy Bear. I just need a couple of them, maybe one of them to do 100x. I've already achieved financial freedom. Okay? That's how it is. I don't need to sell something if it doesn't play out. Okay? Because actually one of the type of fears is people are selling at a loss. Now I understand, there's a whole sunk cost fallacy, etc. That's obviously if you keep on buying at a dip, and then it just keeps on going. A big shout out to all the Hex people who kept buying the dip over the previous years in the bear market. Big shout out to them, and I believe in PHEX, I believe in EHEX, but at some point, guys, I understand the risk that I'm taking. I don't need someone else to tell me to sell my PDAI to then, and they're also giving me financial advice to buy most. Like what? Some people were asking me to say this message, like, oh, Khaled, you have to tell people to sell PDAI. It just does not make sense. You know what I mean? Like, it just does not make sense. Do you also want me to, like, all the projects that I don't like, do you want me to start talking about them? No. Like, why would I go out of my way to fight other people's bags? If I don't like something, I'm not going to talk about it. Simple as that. And this is actually brings me very closely to one of the Richard Hart's tweets, which he tweeted today. Okay? Which is about the risk diode concept. And he said this: the amount of stupid in crypto is amazing, really. It should go without saying that you shouldn't promote things that have open exploits or say 100% of the supply in a single address from exploiting without mentioning it. But some people really are that stupid. So he's showing here the absolutely crazy amount of PDAI that was minted. This is, because of KT. And then apparently that they burnt the IOU keys for the wallet, so they can never use the tokens again, I believe, at least. So yeah. And then this is what I said. I said, interesting that Richard Hart is explicitly talking about PMaker and tweeted 33 times about PDAI. 33 is his favorite number. Though he talks about the risk diode. And I said it here, as he says in his previous tweet, lots going on in PulseChain universe. He said this in his previous tweet. And he also said the PDAI cancer may be coming to an end. But he didn't say the cancer PDAI. So I'm referring to this tweet right here. So he was very quick in reacting when the ESM.fire was called. And he's talking about the live variable going to 0. Right, and he even it's keeping track of people who are calling the free commands, etc., etc. This is part of the settlement process, because there's snip, there's skip, there's thaw, there's free, etc. And then there's a wait variable as well for giving people a chance to, pull out their collateral from their own personal vaults before the hat does or whatever. But anyways, this is what he says. He said that the PDAI cancer may be coming to an end. Okay, now, keep an eye on that language. He didn't say the cancer PDAI. So PDAI's cancer, not the cancer PDAI. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you see how the different, interpretations of that? So this is basically what I'm mentioning. And in terms of risk diode, right? This is something that Richard talks about, and I'm only going to play a small clip of it. This is what he has to say.
If they did, no one believed their sales pitch. Yelling at people, please stop getting scammed, doesn't work. They don't even believe you. They believe the scams instead of you. And half the time, if you're not really artful with it, you'll advertise the scam by saying what not to do. They'll type the website and they'll go get scammed by the website, which is why I invented something called the risk diode, where if you're already being scammed, I give you enough info to know that you're being scammed, but I don't introduce new people to the scam by mentioning it by name and giving you a URL to go get scammed by. These are tactics that I've learned over years of experience in the industry to help get people better outcomes.
So I'm going to stop it there. And he clearly said that he wouldn't mention the name, because of course him saying, oh, stupid PDAI, what's that going to do, right? He might seem to some people that he's warning against PDAI, but now people are going to say, oh, hold on, he said stupid PDAI. What is PDAI in the first place? Now they're going to look at it, into it, etc., etc. And he's very well aware of it. He even calls it the risk diode. But then we see the case of him tweeting 33 times about PDAI, explicitly mentioning the word, and also talking about Atropa. He mentioned, he typed Atropa. Even though he said between parentheses, he said, I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about Atropa. You know? I don't know anything about Atropa. And there was a clip of him where he spoke about Maria, the guy who works from NASA. Guess what, though? Guess what? As I said, the Atropa dev was doxxed. His name is James Ellis Osborne III, 25-year scene veteran with ties to art, etc., etc. Worked with Terra Power, Microsoft, Intel, HP, and NASA. Guys, and NASA. Very interesting stuff going on. Okay? Very interesting stuff. Remember, the PDAI cancer has come to an end. Not the cancer, PDAI. Now, what's the future for PDAI moving onwards? This is one of the latest tweets here from Decentralized Me. And he said, from the ashes, Maker is alive? ? He said, 14 hours ago, the sock function was called. This isn't possible during a shutdown. This only runs when Maker is active. Maker is being rebooted. The SYN queue is building again, being readied to be auctioned off. This isn't a zombie system running all logic. This is live. PDAI to $1. So there is that. I have no idea. Very, very interesting. And then this guy posts here. Post ESM and cooldown. MakerDAO's woe/joy activity shouldn't continue after end.cage sets live to 0. Possible reasons include an incomplete ESM trigger. Interesting. Smart contract bugs, misconfigured or misread stats. And then Decentralized Me here says, Yank can be called, Suck can't, as it's part of the VOW contract. And remember, VOW also has a .cage function that gets called when the end.cage is called from the ESM.fire function. When the ESM triggers a shutdown, it sets live is equal to 0 in core contracts, including VOW. Most core functions like suck require live is equal to 1, which blocks them from running post-shutdown. So I don't know what's going on, but this is the latest news. And finally here, one of the possibly one of the most interesting things going on, a new big AAVE fork, Better Bank project launching on PulseChain. Big shout out to Coexistent. He did a live stream with him. I urge everyone to go watch it. I'm going to go watch it after this. Betterbank.io. Very, very interesting. It says Betterbank will deploy a modified fork of AAVE version 3 fork on PulseChain and later Arbitrum. This protocol has taking the team more than a year to build. Provide PDAI, Pulse and PulseX for interest or borrow against it. Fully doxed and an experienced team, bank, betterbank.io. On PulseChain, the launch will be facilitated through friendly liquidity injection on the stronghold side of the protocol, which will allow the team to start up the protocol without pre-sale. I like this. I hate pre-sales, honestly. So yeah, big shout out to them. You can see this is one of their screenshots here. Solid Foundation brings the most stable economy, right? And it shows there's an APY, the supply, total rewards, etc. This kind of reminds me of like the DAI savings. Is it the DAI savings rate? I believe so. Yeah, where like you can provide in a kind of like a single-sided liquidity or like a pool in the PMaker contract, your PDAI, and then it gives you interest back in USDC. If I remember correctly. So this is kind of similar to it, and this is good. This is part of the utility that should be integrated in a token. So imagine this team bringing utility to PDAI, okay? Because now it's a fact, guys. No more PDAI minting can happen or PDAI extraction can happen. So big shout out to the team. I love this. And now in terms of more Atropa news. This is what Decentralized Me also had to say. We went from crisis to chaos. Is what comes next hope? Katie has posted a resurrection meme, the picture that we saw. It's an interesting shift, even hinting the prices weren't and won't last long, and it's your responsibility if you sell down here. Does a V2 maker come to life with Atropa as the oracle, or does it remain dead and the future is a synthetic peg period? Synthetic peg model. But you have to ask yourself, why did someone clean the vat? Why heal a system you intend to bury forever? Unless a maker redeployment that doesn't recognize the existing maker tokens sat with KT is what comes next. And this is kind of my theory. I think that the next thing could be, hey, what if we make our own kind of did I have a tweet about it? No, I don't. But it was one of the latest tweets, and I urge everyone, by the way, to go follow me on my Twitter. That was one of the things I said. We could utilize the same PDAI token. We don't need to do an airdrop or whatever, or one-to-one, because we have burnt liquidity. We don't want to waste this money. And PDAI is working absolutely fine. You can literally use the burn function to burn your tokens. What if we just create a new MakerDAO, right? That's decentralized. That kind of like a clean slate, like no vaults from the pre-fork. So it's quite interesting. And he says, either way, we may be about to see an Easter resurrection story unfold. And this is what Katie also said down here. Truth, Atropa is made so it can withstand SC accusations, peace stables, liquidity bonded and pulled with it by multiple community members. Ensures James and Richard are not considered as owning P stables. And this is what she all said. You all should be kind to Maria. He has been making moves to create liquidity web correct ratios according to what needs to be done to handle the fractional parity. Your losses are impermanent unless you sell, and selling is your responsibility. Fair enough. This is from her, guys. Fair enough. You know. And then KG, big shout out to KG. I will make a video and stay tuned for this, covering his wallet, Internet Money Wallet, and covering a lot of other dApps that are very useful, like portfolio tracking and stuff on PulseChain. So keep that in mind. I'm going to make a video on that, hopefully within the next 24 hours. And he said here, can you explain the process of how Atropa would function the Oracle for stablecoin? And that's a very good point, because technically Atropa is just a normal token. It's a, basically an ERC20 interface, with the buy and the allowance, etc. There's nothing really special, but it is interesting to see. And Decentralized Me says, good question, I'll post about it. So I'm on the lookout for that answer as well. And by the way, in terms of the latest, and I swear I'm following my friend Sami here. Why is it? I hate when this does it, by the way, where it doesn't show that's following. Anyways, this is what he screenshotted here. Best case is Maria is telling the truth here. He's leveraging long on Ethereum and is gonna rotate profits back in. Or is this code words? And this is what he said. I took leverage position on wrapped Ethereum because of the potential exploitation ongoing, specifics of mint numbers. And he said, if everything works out positively, I will buy back in at a loss. So we will see. Guys, we will see. And now the fact that the exploitation, the extracting is literally fixed now. It's actually fixed. We shall see. So I'm also interested to see what is the next step for Atropa. Now, there is also this final clip here. I also just wanted to say that one of the tweets that I made, which I'm going to quickly scroll down here, which one of them is here, how much PDAI is your just in case bag, just to see what people are voting. One of the things I also tweeted, and I do believe this would be very great for the community, is that the next steps for Atropa ecosystem, right, should verify his contracts. Imagine if he verified his teddy bear, his Atropa, his DAO, his T-bill, his TSFI, we can see that it's renounced. We can see that the contract code is clean. It will reinstill confidence in the community about the ecosystem. At these bearish prices, it's easy to see something or see everything as a scam. People losing confidence in PulseChain. But remember, obviously, I'm here just reminding people that, at the end of the day, it's because of also Ethereum. But we're going to end this video now towards this final clip, right? Maria has been spot on with the predictions about some ratios and happenings on PulseChain so far. He mentioned in this clip that the process of maintaining a peg would be different on PulseChain. Now it makes sense because it's not a traditional system we're dealing with. First cycle unicorn stuff. And let's hear what he had to say here.
I don't think anybody's able to.
This is Maria, guys. This was him last year, by the way. I'm not sure if this was in Germany or in Amsterdam. But yeah, this was, a few weeks before the PulseChain tour, a few months before PulseChain tour.
All right.
This was historical, by the way.
I can see it turning out weird. So, because there's so much of that PDAI burn, by the time it gets to $1, we could have 5-6 billion PDAI on Atropa.
Yes.
If that's the case, if the numbers are just different than they would be otherwise, I think it works out for the better for everybody that gets involved along the way. But the concept of keeping that asset stable on PulseChain becomes completely different than it is on any other chain after that.
There we go, man. What do you take that? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below, guys. I'm going to end this video with saying a big shout out to the OG Web Chef ecosystem. Fun fact that this dev, the OG Web Chef, he actually started off as a Atropa intern. Not a lot of people know about this. And he has been making innovative DeFi products, making reflections from a token that doesn't have a tax. Guys, impossible. From like magic bots, volume bots, is very smart. And one token that I've been talking about for a long time on my Telegram, by the way, shout out to the people who are on my Telegram, and I've been saying this, dominance. I loved dominance because of the name, right? Because we're PulseChain, dominance. And also at the same time, because it reflects PWBTC. And I love PWBTC, guys. You already know, 500x to parity. Guys, 500x to parity. And you know, it was given like 0.5% a day in terms of you know, daily yield, which by the way is absolutely amazing in terms of APRs. But big shout out to the people, because now dominance is actually one of the top right now, giving 6.15% daily ROI. So in 1 month, again, this will probably update, and this is obviously dynamic, like it just depends, it fluctuates, I guess. And you can see the other ones, this Beast, Sav, the PDAI printer, this one is a PDAI printer, FlexMist, Mist, Independence, the Mizor as well. Mizor maybe now has become kind of a number go up type of token, but you know, big shout out to the people, big shout out to Jesus X Escobar as well, making this website, and then yeah, so I just want to say a big shout out to them, you know, making yield and accumulating all that PWBTC, because obviously when PWBTC is very cheap, this reflection is effectively giving you more of the unit side, less of that dollar side for sure, yeah, but you know, it's all about the units. Don't focus a lot to that, you know, USD chart, especially if you're not short-term price oriented. But guys, I'm going to end the video there. I just want to say a big shout out to all of you guys for watching all the way through. You have successfully proven to me that you don't have TikTok on your phone, and I love you for that. Again, please take your time. You don't need to pay me anything. PDAI, learn, upskill about cybersecurity. Have a zero trust approach, especially if you're on Telegram, because it is a black market over there. You know, people are clever. They're coming up with new ways of scamming people, and I've had people in my community get scammed, and it literally boils my blood. So please take your time to learn. I always keep learning. I'm a student of life, guys. Okay, I'm going to keep sharing back the information, because hey, I don't need to gatekeep any information. There's enough money in this world for all of us to make, for all of us to be rich, at least for the people who are watching this video that have the key information asymmetry, for all of us to be rich in an honest way. Join my Telegram. Let me know what you think of this video, and yeah, trust in the process. And big shout out to the man above. Trust in God, and I'll catch you later. Take care.